All right, so I'm here with Teresa Davis, very talented vocalist. I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity once again. It's an honor to be able to speak to you and just do this interview.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Oh. So I guess just to start out, where did your passion for singing come from exactly? Like where did it all begin?
I've always wanted to sing ever since I was little. My mum used to sing in amateur music groups as I grew up, but that was all I ever wanted to do, really, and that's all I did. I just performed for everybody and just couldn't wait to actually. I come from up north in the UK. And I knew when I got to a certain age after music college, I wanted to get down to London and pursue a career. And at that point, I didn't actually know which way I was going to go with it, with singing, whether it was going to be pop, whether I was going to go into musical theatre. And as it happened, I ended up sort of auditioning for bands and different things through auditions in local papers down in London. And that's how I got to know people, and that's where it came from, really. I ended up, more pop rock music, if you like, really.
Mm-hmm. And what made you want to go into it professionally? Or, like, what made you take the jump?
I think, like I say, there was nothing else I really wanted to do. I always just wanted to sing, and I wanted to make a career out of it. And I was told at school, if you can think of anything else that you'd prefer to do it, because it's a really hard industry and most people don't get there and all this. And school, I wouldn't say were overly supportive. So. Mm. I did leave to go to college after I'd done my exams, and I found music college up in West Yorkshire was the best thing for me. But then even then I thought I need to get on with it and try my luck, really, see if I can get work down in London. And it was, it was quite a few years of, doing odd tiny little gigs, even doing things for nothing, first of all, just to get my name around or to meet people. I was told that the best way back in those days, there wasn't any social media or anything like that. Mm-hmm. The best way to do it was to turn up to places and sing and get up and go. There were lots of different singers, lots of live music venues, a lot more than there are now, to be honest. And that's what I did.
Oh man, and it paid off since, you did things for, and I'm sorry if I butcher their name, but Dream.
Dream, yes, that's right, yeah.
And then Gary Newman and Blur.
Yes, yeah, funnily enough, the Blur song that I did has just been on the radio. It's quite funny. I was talking to my daughter about it, and I said, this is me on the radio.
It's me.
She said, I know, Mum, you told me. Oh, but yes, and funny enough, with Dream, we're just about to. We're starting out again. He's got the band back together, and we're doing some shows at the moment. Just about to go away to Ireland with them for. We're doing lots of festivals over the summer, which will be brilliant. I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, that's awesome.
It'll be good.
And as a little bit of a side note, is it true that you're also a member of a ABBA tribute band called Bjorn Again?
I used to be with Bjorn Again. I joined Bjorn Again in '97, quite a long time ago now. I was with them for about 7 years. But we still have, we're all ex-Bjorn Again members. We've all been Bjorn Again at different times. We have our own ABBA tribute band as well. Called 1974, which is the year that ABBA won the Eurovision Song Contest in Brighton. And we tour a lot in the sort of north of the country. We go up to Scotland quite a lot in the UK. And we also go to Scandinavia quite a lot. We tour Norway, Finland, Sweden, and do festivals and different theatres and everything. So yes, we are still doing ABBA after all these years as well. That's great fun. That's really good fun.
Oh yeah, honestly, it sounds like a blast. So I guess with what we're here about today, how did it all start with getting involved with Sega and the Sonic R soundtrack and all that?
Yeah, okay. Well, it was, funnily enough, it was actually through D-Ream, because I was working with a percussionist in D-Ream called James Mack, who his girlfriend at the time, it's very sort of, who you know and who you get to chatting to people. And his girlfriend at the time had a friend of hers from college called Richard Jakes, who was looking for a singer for a new game project. And I didn't really know much about it at all. And he said, "Can I put you up for it?" She mentioned it to me, his girlfriend, and I said, "Fantastic, yeah, I'd love to." And I met Richard. I just went over to the Sega offices and had a chat with him about that. And sorry, I think that could be my phone ruin everything there. Let me just move it away. And went over to meet him, and he told me about he was doing this new project for Sega for Sonic the Hedgehog, and he was just wanting to first of all do a couple of demos just to see if my voice suited the project, and it was just a couple, and then he needed to send it off to the big bosses, and they loved it, and that's how it happened. That's how I got the job.
Was that like nerve-wracking at all?
It was something, because the thing is, because I didn't really know an awful lot about that point about Sonic the Hedgehog or any of the Sonic games, because as much as my brother was really into gaming, he loves that. I was gigging, I was touring, I was doing lots of different things at the time, but when I realised what it was, and it was quite a big project. We were going into different studios to do all these different songs. I absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. It was great to do, but I didn't realise how big it was. I didn't understand worldwide how huge the Sonic franchise was. It was amazing.
Oh yeah, it must have. So it's just like, oh no.
Yeah, exactly. But it was wonderful because I met all of them when a lot of the bosses came over from Japan. I went to met them all at different things going on in London, different functions and things, and I realised how huge it actually was. And I loved working with Richard because he's just brilliant.
Oh yeah, absolute talent.
Yeah, really, really brilliant, and we had such a giggle doing it as well. It was wonderful, so that was good.
Oh. And when it came to actually making the soundtrack, what was the main source of inspiration for it?
I think, what you mean from Richard's point of view, or do you mean from mine, or?
Probably just from, I guess, we can have both of yours. With the soundtrack, I think, because it was a racing game, wasn't it? So obviously everything was quite, I'd say, a Eurobeat at the time. It was quite quick, wasn't it? Everything was, so it was a case of, it was always thinking about something racing ahead, and the songs were very upbeat. They were very things like, obviously, "Can You Feel the Sunshine" is all very positive, and I think that was the whole thing. It was about making it very. I'd say my vocal had to be very punchy. It really sort of something that everybody could sing along. And I get lots of recordings from people who've done their own recordings, which I absolutely love. When people send me stuff, I really love hearing, and I've heard so many different versions of the songs. It's really nice to know that those songs mean so much to so many people. Oh yeah, that your work kind of lives on.
It's lovely. I didn't, like I said to you, I had no idea that people would love it so much. It's been great. And I did a convention in London. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the year.
Summer of Sonic in 2008.
That's the one there. Thank you very much.
No worries.
And, that blew me away. I completely the love in the room. Honestly, I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but it was just, everybody was so into it, and I that's what I love about music. That's why I still do it, because it's a universal thing, and it just makes everybody so happy. Everybody's got a reason. And that, sometimes it can be a dark reason for people as well, the reason why people get into music. And I think if it comforts and supports people, it's done its job, hasn't it, really?
It unites people, I guess, of all different walks of life.
Absolutely.
Oh man. So what was the recording process like exactly?
Well, we did a lot of the demos first of all over at Sega. But then we went over into different studios. We used, from my memory, and I'll just remember this, it's quite a while ago. We went to Metropolis Studios in Chiswick. And I didn't live too far from there at the time, which was brilliant for me because I'd just sort of hop on a tube and get there, and we'd spend the day at the studios. And Metropolis Studios are absolutely gorgeous in London as well, which was really lovely. And as far as I remember, for Sonic, we did the album, most of the album there. And sometimes we'd have a screen, we'd have a bit of the game as well, because I did all the sort of the little go and all those in middle. So we'd sync it with the screen so we could see it at the time. And it was over a matter of, I think there was about 10 songs on the original one. I think we did it over a couple of weeks. And then I'd come back in to just do little bits. I remember one time it was quite funny because I'm from up north. I'm a Yorkshire girl, so I don't speak. I say dance and bath and things like that, and I had to say let's dance or something, and I kept saying dance, and they said, can you say dance? And that's obviously the southern way of doing it. And I said dance. I can't say dance. So yes, there's certain things I had to make sure I sounded or slightly with maybe a bit of an American accent as well, just maybe because that then is obviously people might understand it and interpret it better than my Yorkshire accent at the time. But I didn't mind, it was absolutely fine.
And what were the guidelines and references you received alongside of Richard Jakes when it came to creating the music for each stage?
Good question. I think for here it was, again, going back to the punchy vocal. It was quite when I listened back to that vocal at the time, it was quite a hard vocal. It was quite because it had to be, it was punchy. It was that sort of thing, because you're talking about a little hedgehog running around, aren't you?
Yeah.
So it had to be that sort of vocal. I couldn't have gone in and done a big ballady style thing. So it was him making sure I was just constantly, and then bright. It was obviously bright. The way I was singing had to be very upbeat, I suppose. To completely, different styles because I did Metropolis Street Racer as well, and that was different styles, and I could change that around a little bit. But I remember Sonic being very, very much, keep it upbeat and positive, and that's what it was all about.
And like for the stages, because a lot of the lyrics I've noticed kind of focus around the stage or the kind of feeling it gives you. And for that, were you given like references to the pictures, or like was it mostly Richard that like wrote the lyrics, then you kind of just went along with them?
Yeah, no, Richard wrote everything. He wrote the music and the lyrics, and he'd obviously sometimes I'd ad-lib little bits, like I did a few odd little bits, but he can I just move my phone away? Can you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think it's making a bit of a racket. No. Okay. The lyrics, music, that was all Richard, but he'd let me interpret the song, I suppose, in a way with certain bits, like I say, with ad-libbing and changing of a few little notes and things. But all the music and lyrics were all Richard.
Oh man. So were there any songs that didn't make the cut in the game?
No. No. There was nothing. We just recorded them as is, and as far as I know, everything was in there. No, I can't think of anything that didn't. No, he definitely. We worked on them sort of bit by bit, but I think absolutely everything went in there.
Oh, that's nice. At least.
That's actually quite a good question. That's probably one for him, because he might have had stuff that, that maybe we could have tried a little bit, and maybe it didn't. But as far as I'm aware, everything went in there.
That's good, at least to know that, hey, everything's in there, it's just like nothing to hide.
Exactly.
So what did you learn from being a part of this project?
I think for me the lovely thing was, because I'd always been a live singer, to do so much recording and being in the studio, and just it was a different discipline for me as well. I was very much, live work is very immediate. You've done it, that's it, it's done. But doing so much recording, because it was quite intense, gives you a different discipline anyway, and getting it and it had to be very precise as well. Because obviously it was for the game, that was the whole point. So that was good, and I think from learning from the whole thing, I realised how massive the gaming industry is.
Oh yeah.
It's huge, and it's been lovely. But it's been lovely for me because I get the most loveliest messages from people, and people that were just massive fans. And it's I did actually mention it to somebody a while ago on my Twitter account, that what I would love to do is because me and Richard are still in touch, and we've talked about collaborating again, and we'd love to do something again, but I would love to record those songs with just me and him doing them again. We've actually performed them live a couple of times, but I'd love to do just all these years on, do another recording of them ourselves. So hopefully I can persuade him.
For the fans.
Definitely. Few people have actually said that they would love us to do that. We keep in touch, and so watch this space, because you never know.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Well, that'd be quite the day if that was ever dropped. I'd be very happy.
It would be lovely. And there was there's a new film, isn't there? And a few people had asked if I'd, would you have been on the soundtrack? It's like, yes, of course I would have been on the soundtrack. If I'd have been asked, I'd have loved to. Things move on, times move on, and it's absolutely fine. And that's how it works, isn't it, really?
Mm-hmm. And speaking of which, have you been approached by Sega since to do any more vocals for their games?
No. I'd love to. I mean, the contact really was through Richard, and he's obviously very busy with his composing, and he's just done so many amazing things since. But you never know, something might happen in the future. I think it's one of those, it's just so popular, and even Richard was gobsmacked when he saw how many, even YouTube, all the views and people doing versions of the songs. We both had a very big giggle about if you slow my vocal down, I sound like, the artist, the UK artist Rick Astley.
Oh yeah.
And that's so funny, because I know Rick Astley's band, and I've met Rick Astley a few times, and I said to my friend who's in his band, I said, you've got to tell him, because that's really funny. I didn't know whether he was aware of it, that if you slow my vocal down, we sound similar. So that was quite funny.
Well, do you think it'll be like reversed? If you speed up his vocals, then he'll start to sound like you?
I think so. That's definitely a conversation, isn't it? At a gig, we'll have to swap stories on that one, really.
So, out of all the songs that you did, what do you think was your personal favorite from the game?
That's a good one. Do you know what I have to say from Sonic? It would have to be "Can You Feel the Sunshine?"
Classic.
I think because it's such a positive song, and I've had the most loveliest messages from that one about how people have actually told me that they were going through a really hard time, and they just found that song really helped them more than any of the others. And I think that's gorgeous. I think that's just really lovely. And back to my original comment about saying how music can be so good for you. It can comfort, it can do lots of different things, can't it? And it's a memory as well. And I think something like that, and we did Can You Feel the Sunshine at the convention, and it was when everybody's singing along. That's a really nice, it's lovely. It's a lovely thing to do, and I feel really honoured that I'm part of it. I really do. And I know that might sound a bit corny, but it's true.
Hey, we're allowed to be corny. So, okay. So I want to do a little game here where I'd throw some lyrics your way from a couple of the songs you did, and you can just give your take on the meaning of some of them. I mean, it's more just supposed to be kind of like jokingly, so it's nothing really serious.
I thought you were gonna say to me, here's some lyrics and tell me which songs they're from.
Oh no!
Oh no, there's so many, and I won't remember that.
It's like, no, don't do this to me. Oh, would you look at the time? I have to go.
Okay, I've got you. I understand.
All right. So, from Can You Feel the Sunshine? Can you see the sun is shining on me? Makes me feel so free, so alive. It makes me want to survive. What do you think the meaning behind that is?
Well, it's so positive, isn't it? It's all about just, I don't know, enjoying. I think for me, it's all about enjoying life, and that would be it. Really, it's just such a positive vibe, a positive song.
Okay, and the next lyrics I have here is, can you feel the sunshine? Does it brighten up your day? Don't you feel that sometimes you just need to run away?
Well, I think for Richard, I'd say when he was writing this, he's thinking, I mean, the fact that racing and running was constantly the thing for Sonic, wasn't it? So he's probably thinking, run away, don't you need to run away? I would say it's part of the whole running thing with the song. But yeah. Again, I just think it's all about positivity and brightening your day. That's all I could say, really.
Yeah, for sure. But what is Sonic running from? That's my question. No.
But I'm not sure whether he actually meant it as running from, but run away as in. I probably think it's more a case of running, enjoying the moment of running and just being out and about, and because it's a racing thing, isn't it? So I'm assuming that's what he meant by it.
All right, and the next lyrics I have, without you, there's nothing for me to do. Can you feel the sunshine too? It's coming through, makes me feel brand new. So do you think like the sunshine symbolic of something?
I'd like to say it is, but I wouldn't be too sure about that. I don't know. I think it's. I actually think that's probably more of a question for Richard, because they were his lyrics really, and I was interpreting the lyrics as the vocalist. But I don't know. I'm not too sure on that one. Sorry.
No worries. It's just for fun anyways, so it's all good. All right, and then finally from this song, when the sun goes down, I feel like I am waiting for another day when the clouds go away.
Oh, well, I think that's all about, again, it's all to do, the subject matter is sunshine, isn't it? It's all to do with the positivity of when it's sunny and we all feel so much happier, and we're just waiting for another day that we can be out there and be bright and positive again. That's how I interpret that anyway.
Oh, perfect. Okay, and I just have a couple lines from Supersonic Racing, and then I'll just have a couple last questions.
That was the first one I ever did. That was the one that we sent the demo over to Japan. That was the one. I always remember that one.
Well, honestly, seeing how many games it's been used in since, whether it's been like Super Smash Bros. Or like Sonic 6 All-Stars Racing, it's a good song.
It's great.
So I have here, come on, run away. You don't have to stay. We're nearly out of time, but you're doing fine.
Again, it's all about running. It's all about racing, isn't it? It's actually so you're talking about getting through. At that point, I suppose you could say that it's getting through the game, but you're getting through life, aren't you? You're saying you're doing fine.
And then, everybody Supersonic Racing, try to keep your feet right on the ground. When you're Supersonic Racing, there's no time to look around. What do you think Supersonic Racing looks like?
Oh, That's a difficult question. I didn't know you'd say that. In what way? What do you mean?
Just in general, what do you think people running like a Supersonic Racing run looks like?
See, that to me sounds quite. There's no time to look around. It's being really competitive, isn't it? It's all to do with everything's a challenge. You're running through life, and you're being quite competitive. There isn't any time to really stop, and I suppose that's the whole idea of a game, isn't it? When you're playing, you're trying to beat something all the time. So I think that's what that means for me anyway.
Perfect. And then just last here, don't you know we really have to go to a place where you can feel my heart just race? So where are they going?
It's really nice, actually, isn't it? Quite nice. They're nice lyrics. I think they're really, yeah. I think again, it has to be about racing and your, I don't know, where your heart is really. And I suppose that's the whole point of the positivity of Richard's lyrics again, isn't it?
Perfect. Okay, I'll leave you alone with the lyrics now.
I hope I've sort of muddled my way through that, really, because I wasn't actually completely sure of, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it was a very much a very positive. Everything about it was, you know, he wrote for the actual how everything would be fit in with the whole idea of the game, and it was with it being a racing game, so it's all to do with constantly pushing, isn't it?
Dude, he's gonna give some of the lyricists of this generation a run for their money.
Yeah, there you go.
So I guess a couple last questions. So how is it seeing that people are still talking about your work on a more obscure game for like over 20 years ago?
Again, we go back to that when people first, I suppose, get into anything like that, and you know, the music. I mean, I have had people say that they didn't like the music and they found my voice irritating, so turned it off. Which just, you know what, is absolutely, it made me laugh. I'm just thinking, that's absolutely fine. That's up to you. That's not a problem. But I think again, it reminds people, doesn't it? It reminds people of a time. And I think if it was something that you're into, and especially as you get older and you look back and you think, oh my God, that made me feel so happy. Or if anybody was going through a hard time at the time and it was something that really helped them, if it comforted them, I think that's the reason. I think with anything, if you look at all the nostalgia, or all bands and stuff that are coming back now that are doing, you know, live tours or new recordings of things, it's because music doesn't go away, does it? And something like, I mean, Sonic is such a cult. It's got such a cult following. I think that's the reason why people love just to remember lots of old music, and it's a time, it's an era, and it's lovely that you know, it's the support is lovely for it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I remember personally, like as a kid, always playing Sonic and just hearing your music, and it's still some of the few bits of music that does bring me back, and I have such an emotional attachment to. So I really appreciate it.
I was gonna ask you actually that whether that was the same for you, and I'm assuming yes, that's the reason you asked that question.
Honestly, yeah, it's still left a mark. So I'm like, I gotta do this now.
Oh, that's good. So you didn't turn the singing off then?
Nah, I put on full blast. It's my jam.
That's good.
And it's funny, as I was doing research for this video, I was actually finding a really hard time when I was looking through forums to find almost anyone say anything bad about it, just because it's such a classic piece of work for us.
Nice. Yeah, I've ruined that now because I shouldn't have told you, should I? Because it was one person asked me, and it was an interview thing, and he said somebody had actually said that they turn the singing off because it puts them off when they're playing. And I just thought, and they said, how do you feel about that? And it just made me laugh. It was quite funny.
They were in the supersonic racing mode. They couldn't have any distractions.
Exactly. There you go. It was a distraction, so I'll take that. That's fine.
And then finally, in a franchise with nearly 30 years of music, how does it feel seeing your work become some of the most recognizable of it all?
Oh, it's flattering. It's lovely. Even when I tell people now that, you know, of my age who've got children, and they say, oh my God, my child loves that, they still play it. You know, you can get it on so many different formats, can't you? And you can play it, and it's people. I just did not realize at the time how huge it was going to be, and I'm just really proud. I'm proud that I did it. I really am. I thank Richard for getting me in to do it, which was good. And yeah, like I say, fingers crossed we will work together again, because I'd love to do that.
Gotta do a little nudge, nudge, wink, wink his way.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
Oh, that's awesome. So I guess just recently, what have you been up to music-wise?
I tour a lot. I do. Obviously, you've mentioned the ABBA thing as well. I also have been working recently with a band called the Cutting Crew, who had a huge hit with. Well, they had quite a few hits, but the biggest one was "I Just Died in Your Arms," which was a massive hit all over the world in the 80s. And they're out doing lots of gigs, and I do backing vocals for them. On certain shows, and I've toured with them recently, and like I said, I work with a party band called Sway All Stars Orchestra. We do lots of shows. That's probably the keeps me busiest than most of the other things at the moment. And then back with D-Ream, which I feel very happy about. And also a band that I fronted at the end of the 90s called Shiva after D-Ream. We're just about to do a festival in September in the UK, and I haven't sung their songs for over 22 years, so that's going to be interesting because that's fronting it as well for me, and that's going to be quite a big deal, and I'm looking forward to that. That's in September.
Oh yeah. And then I'll make sure to leave, links to the tickets if you want to go check it out.
Sorry, say that again?
I said I'll be sure to leave tickets in like the description or somewhere on the video so people can check it out.
Oh, great. Lovely. Thank you.
No worries. And is there anything you'd like to plug?
No, I think that's it really. I probably waffled on far too much, and hopefully you'll be able to edit this as you see fit.
Oh, don't worry. And then finally, where can people find you?
Best way to do it. I mean, my website needs a hell of a lot of updating. I think I've said that to you before, which I am supposedly in the process of it. But on social media, I'm not on Facebook, but I am on Twitter, and my Twitter name is @Teresa-Jane-Davis, and you can find me on there and come and say hello. That's probably the best way to find me, or you can email me via my website as well.
Oh, perfect. And I still think I love your website because it's still just like this weirdly nostalgic thing that's still up, and I'm so happy about that.
It is quite ridiculous, though. I should at least update all the files got corrupted from the music point for some reason, and I'm not a bit of a technophobe. So I do need to get that sorted because I think it's nice for people to hear stuff. So I just need to do a link. But social media these days, I mean, most people do contact me on Twitter anyway.
Mm-hmm. So I can just put this out here now. Hey, if you're a website designer, help Teresa out.
Yeah, a few people have actually, and it's again, Sonic the Hedgehog fans have actually offered to help me update my website, which is so lovely. That's really nice, and it is something eventually that I will get round to, definitely. But it'll never be, it's more it's always going to be more nostalgic than anything else, probably.
Mm-hmm. But that's classic. Classics coming back.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It does mean, honestly, it means a lot that you can do this.
You're welcome, and it's been really nice to talk to you. And good luck with your video, and I hope it all works out.
Oh, thank you. My childhood self is screaming right now.
Lovely to talk to you.
You as well.